Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Namaste Village. It is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to have all of you here. And today, actually, we're going to be starting with something quite wonderful. Actually, a couple of things. I was listening to something right before session that I hadn't heard in many years, and it brought a smile to my face, especially when I thought about the evolution of where we can sometimes be and then where we arrive when we allow that wonderful energy to take hold. I want to share just a little bit of a song that I wrote and recorded many, many, many years ago, back in the mid-90s when I was actually living with Vicky in Boston, and me and a friend who is a bass player went into the studio and we recorded a very fun song. This is not at all, well, I guess you could find something spiritual about it, but it's not intended to be a spiritual song. But once again, this is to demonstrate sort of an evolution. So I just want to play a little bit of this song that I recorded back in 1994, I believe, back in Boston. Okay, here we go. I hope. Come on. All right. Listen to me now. All right. Remember this, Vicky? I could inhale you. I could inhale you, yes indeed. Now I could inhale you. Way down deep inside. Way down deep inside. Way down deep inside me. Oh yes. Okay, that's just a taste. I don't want to give you too much, I don't want to stray too far from the reality of who we all are right now. But I did say I wanted to, use this as just a way of bringing us into the wonderful moment where we realize that God is so wonderful, love is so wonderful. When we say God, we're not talking about a deity. There is no deity called God. God is everything, everywhere, every instant, every element, in everyone, all the time. And we're going to be talking about that today, but let's start off with this song and video, which brings us into that wonderful energy. Let me put up on the screen. Most of you have heard this before, but it's a great place to begin. Here we go. Sing it with me if you want. Oh God, you are so wonderful. You are wonderful to me. Oh God, you are so wonderful. You are wonderful to me. To each other. Quite a difference, eh? I could hail you to God is so wonderful. We are all so wonderful. And within that wonderful energy, there's so much we can do, so much we can be. We can have fun with this. We don't have to take it so, well, we do have to take it seriously, but we don't have to be serious in a way that robs us of the joy of the awakening. Because the awakening is a joyful expansion and explosion of grace. And why would we want to be morbid and somber about that? Why would we want to hold back the joy and that wonderful energy that begins to move and express through us? That's why I like that song and that prayer. And it's also about recognizing that it's time to stop waiting for this to happen. Many of us have been waiting for a long time, thinking that we have to do whatever it is we think we have to do to be whatever we think enlightenment is. Or that even the world itself and humanity needs to change or shift, and something needs to happen for humanity to awaken. And yet that's not really what we have been sharing. That's not what the teaching really is. The teaching really is stop waiting for that which has always been true. Stop thinking that you or humanity or anyone else needs to evolve, because the truth within you is wholly beyond evolution. The truth within you. We're not talking about the identity. We're not talking about the personality. And when we say it's time to stop waiting, maybe it's because we've been waiting for the identity itself, for the personality to be enlightened, or the personality of humanity or the world to express that energy. But it's beyond that, and it's already true. So I want to share a little lesson, something that I wrote from that I am consciousness, from the consciousness that this is already true. And I'm going to put this up on the screen so you can all see it. Okay, so let me read this slowly. It begins with the question, why spend so much time wondering if humanity will ever reach the level of conscious evolution? Why spend so much time wondering if and when humanity will ever reach the level of conscious evolution? Asking this question denies the truth that I've been trying to get you to experience. And here it is. The truth is that conscious evolution has already been achieved. It's already there. It's already whole. In fact, it's the only thing that exists in reality. It's all there is. The question, I love this part, the question isn't whether or not conscious evolution will be achieved, but whether you'll choose to be conscious of the consciousness that is always conscious of you. That's a lot of conscious words. Once again, whether you will choose to be conscious of the consciousness that is always conscious of you. A bit of a mind bender. But that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to bend the mind away from the idea that I have to do this on my own, or that I need to do something in order to be who I've always been. To bend the mind away from all of those egoic thoughts of separation into the only true thought that you can have, that the truth is true now, has always been true, and cannot stop being true. And that's true of you. The truth within you is and will always be true. You don't need to do anything for that to be true. Once again, the question is, will you choose, you have to make a choice, to be conscious of that consciousness that is always conscious of the truth within you. And that's the key, not the illusion or the identity, but the truth within you. We're going to come to a point in a moment here where we realize that God, see, we like to believe that God, the divine, whatever that is, because it can't be identified, it can't be described, it can only be experienced. But we like to believe that that reality, call it love if you want, is thinking about you in your identity, concerned about what you're doing in your identity. And I hate to be the one to burst the bubble, but that's not true. God doesn't know your identity. God knows you, the truth of you, the truth that has always been true. It's just like saying that if you were having a bad dream and your mother or your father were sitting next to you in the bed, all they can really do as you're in the dream is hold your hand or maybe jostle you a bit, but they can't enter into your dream. And it's the same thing with what we call God. God, reality, cannot enter into unreality, cannot enter into the illusion, but can hold your hand and help you to understand and to experience the fact that you are not alone, and that the time of the awakening is at hand, because it has always been true. So let me read the second paragraph. Will you choose to open your eyes and see that which has always been seen by God? Once again, it's a choice. Will you make that choice? You have always been seen by God. The truth of you, not the identity you've chosen. That's what God sees and loves. So stop wondering if humanity is going to reach some level of awareness in the near or distant future. Just be aware. Stop wondering if the world is going to evolve at some point in history. Just realize that the truth within you is wholly beyond evolution. There's no process to remembering the truth that has always been true. You see, we keep waiting for a process, for some path. And the path is just open your eyes. See that which has always been true. Now, we seem to find this to be a difficult task at the beginning. But I'm telling you that there is a momentum that we achieve when we keep making this choice. We make the choice to once again, to be conscious of the consciousness that is always conscious of you. Okay? There's a momentum that is achieved, and then it becomes easier and easier and more natural. That's the reason we join. That's the reason we come together in this way. Okay, so once again, stop wondering if the world is ever going to evolve at some point in history. Just realize that the truth of you is wholly beyond evolution. There is no process to remembering the truth that has always been true. Just open your eyes and see what has always been so easily seen. Open your eyes and see that which has so easily been seen. First of all, that's you. What has been so easily seen is you, the truth of you, that love perceives. Now the only question is, will we choose to do that as well? Will we choose to let go of the idea of process, let go of the idea of evolution, let go of the idea of thinking that humanity needs to get this in some way, at some level, and just come with wholly empty hands unto God? It really is quite simple. We just need to accept the simplicity of it. What is true has always been true. That's about as simple as we can make it. So, Vicki, I'm handing you the baton. Where does this take you?
Okay, Brother James, thanks for that first song, and for being able for all of us to witness the evolution of your consciousness. I am not my body. I'm still there.
Yes.
Anyway, you know what occurs to me? That we think of the awakening, whether it's for ourselves or the collective, as some grand event. And sometimes it is a grand event. Some people may have particular experiences where it's a near death experience or something, and they shift all of a sudden into that I am consciousness, and they see how none of this is worrisome or troublesome, no matter what it looks like. And that's a wonderful opportunity when that happens. But perhaps the majority have an opportunity for awakening every moment. Maybe that's why the Course teaches this holy instant, what I give to you. This instant is our awakening. Let it be that simple. It doesn't have to be some grand moment where all of a sudden we see the spirit, we experience that world that seems invisible from here. From perception, all we see are bits and pieces. And bits and pieces never will give us a whole story. And all we have to know in any one instant is, and this is what you were teaching the other day, I don't know. Maybe I love you. I don't know what this means. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but I love you, because the awakening moment, no matter when or how it seems to come to us, is always an experience of inclusion and love. It's always an experience of freedom and joy and rejoicing and celebration, that the perception we were seeing wasn't so. We were not limited by it. That's what happens in any awakening. And why not let every instant be a moment of awakening? That's something to take sincerely, as someone wrote on the chat board, maybe not with seriousness, but sincere dedication. Let this instant be an instant where I can look at perception and I see with my eyes a problem here, a problem there. But let me remember, perception is just a bunch of little things that I don't know how they string together. Isn't it great that I don't know? Isn't it great that I'm relieved of judgment, that I don't need to know? But there is within me, whether we call it our higher self, our I am consciousness, the Christ in us, the Holy Spirit, an angel, there is an awareness in me that does know. Let me step back and let me ask for that awareness to fill my heart and my mind with peace, that I don't need to understand the picture, that this is my moment of awakening to the presence of love right now. Simple, right now. Thank you.
That's it. Right now. I don't think we can
Right
get any
now.
more clear than that. And I'm so glad that you reminded us, Vicky, of that very simple teaching of really the only appropriate way for us to join together, especially if we find ourselves in some level of disagreement. Someone says something to us that we don't think is true or we may have issue with, to step back, because the initial response is to step forward and say, hold on, that's not true. In other words, I know what's true and you don't. I'm judging you, I'm putting you into a different place. And what you express and what we've shared here before is to instead fall back into that place where we say, maybe even out loud, I don't know, maybe I love you. How simple. And could you imagine, even in this illusory world, what it would be like if we all lived there? I mean, the polarization, the victimization, the separation, all of these things would dissolve. If in Congress, in the US, maybe if the Democrats or the Republicans just looked at each other and said, I don't know, maybe, I love you. let's let's hope for that, right? Or anywhere else. All right. So Teddy, are you out there? You want to share anything? Oh, there he is.
Here I am. I was thinking that there's two things came to mind. Um, you know, when God as a word, because of the nature of my experience, I understand it. But the truth is, it's like I like the idea of father to son. Like I like calling him father because it implies a relationship of the creator to the created. And you know, the relationship and the tie that which ties us together. So I like to call God Father, even though I understand God. But God has so many different meanings. Everybody's got an idea about what it is. But everybody understands the relationship between the father and the son. Or, you can go female if you want, mother and daughter. It doesn't matter to me because it definitely is in the relationship. And the other thing is, reality is whole and perfect already. So there's no such thing as evolution. Like there's no place to evolve from and to because it's total, whole, and perfect already. And that's the true realization that makes you laugh about everything else. So, it's just interesting perspective. Um, and deep down inside, that's why I like the idea of calling it remembering rather than anything else, because at some point in time, we just remember the truth of who we are because we are that truth no matter what else we think. It doesn't matter. None of our thoughts are true. Our reality is whole and perfect, and we are in that and always in that and could not leave that. I mean, the best is, we call it anything else is illusion and isn't so. But when I think of the idea, like you're talking about, evolution, I mean, there's no place to evolve from until. Now, and the truth is, I understand the ego makes that boring, but in truth, it's total excitement and wholeness and perfection, and you can't beat that, as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. It's funny that you said that the ego makes changelessness boring. That it interprets excitement as something that is always changing, something that is always challenging. But the truth is that our changelessness, in other words, who we are, who we've always been, who we cannot stop being, is dynamic. It's not boring. The ego interprets it in that way because this is its last defense, to keep you from going there, from surrendering so deeply that you experience that which is wholly beyond change, and yet that which is so dynamic. I know that any of you who have even touched the hem of that experience before know exactly what I'm referring to. That it is dynamic. It's dynamic in love. It's dynamic in grace. And when you're in love with everything in every moment, wow, it's anything but boring. But that's what that part of us wants to believe until we simply become conscious of the consciousness that is always conscious of us. Just relax. Let it be simple. Everything we're hearing today expresses the simplicity of salvation. And that is why we come together. That's why we join here, those of us who are physically here at Namaste Village, those of us who are all over the world on the Zoom. That's why we join together, because we get these sparks of memory, sparks of reunion. And it just keeps us right there at the edge until we spread our wings and fly. So, Vicky, Teddy, thank you so much, as always. Let's just take a moment now and breathe deeply together. Take a couple of deep breaths as we make that choice. The choice to become conscious of that consciousness that is always and forever conscious of the truth within you and me and everyone. Just see if you can touch that for a moment. See if you can feel the approach of that light or the heat coming from that fire. This is how simple the awakening can be. We've said before, why dance around the fire? Just dive in. You're not going to be burned. You're not going to be destroyed. The only thing that's going to be destroyed is that which never was. That which was never true. But that needs to be destroyed. It just dissolves. Because all it is an idea. An idea that we seem to have given form to, but which has no form. It sure seems like it does, but just like the dream you had last night seemed like it was real. But then when you woke up, you saw reality for what it was, and that's all that's happening now. And as we do this, we envelop everyone that has asked for our prayers. We love them all. We send our light and our energy and our blessing to each one, bringing them into this light, into this moment of pure awareness. And so it is. So, trying to think of a way I could inhale you back into this, but I don't seem to see it. Maybe it's just about letting God inhale us, bring us all the way in. It's not about a special person. It's about each one of us being enveloped and inhaled by love. That's all we're here for. So thanks to all of you, as always. This is a bit of a shortened session, but I think we got right to the point, which is what we're really here to do. It's just that pulse every day, to have that pulse, to start off the day with reality and truth. And now let that carry you. Maybe one of the things you could do today is, if you, even in your mind, you feel an objection to something, you feel yourself resisting someone, just come back to the, I don't know, maybe, I love you. That's a very simple solution. So namaste, everyone. Let us do our final prayer together. Let me bring this up. The prayer of protection. Okay. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is.